In Hawaii, we are blessed to have a diverse population representing many cultures. However, we cannot neglect and must not forget the indigenous culture and people of Hawaii, the Native Hawaiians. For the last 7 years, I, along with Hawaii's congressional delegation, have worked to enact the Native Hawaiian Government Reorganization Act. My bill authorizes a process for the reorganization of the Native Hawaiian governing entity for the purposes of a federally recognized government-to-government relationship. Why do we need to organize the entity? It is because the Native Hawaiian government was overthrown with the assistance of U.S. agents in 1893. As a result, Native Hawaiians were disenfranchised from their culture, land, and way of life at the hands of foreigners committed exclusively to propagating Western values and conventions. The impacts of the overthrow continue as Native Hawaiians are at the lowest levels of achievement by all social and economic measures. Following the overthrow, a republic was formed. Any reformation of a native governing entity was discouraged. Despite this fact, Native Hawaiians have established distinct communities and retained their language, culture, and traditions. They have done so in a way that also allows other cultures to flourish in Hawaii. Since that time, Congress has explicitly recognized the existence of a special or trust relationship between the Native Hawaiian people and the United States. In 1993, PL 103-150, commonly known as the Apology Resolution, was enacted. The resolution acknowledges the history as it happened, including, and I quote, Congress apologizes to Native Hawaiians on behalf of the people of the United States for the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii on January 17, 1893, with participation of agents and citizens of the United States and the deprivation of rights of Native Hawaiians to self-determination, unquote. Congress also committed itself to acknowledging the ramifications of the overthrow and supporting reconciliation efforts between Native Hawaiians and the United States. My bill is the next step in this reconciliation process. While Congress has traditionally treated Native Hawaiians in a manner parallel to American Indians and Alaska Natives, the federal policy of self-governance and self-determination has not been formally extended to Native Hawaiians. Many checks and balances exist in this process, which complies with federal law and maintains the flexibility for Native Hawaiians to determine the outcome of this process. Federal recognition of Native Hawaiians is supported by a majority of people in Hawaii, including the governor of the state legislature, the numerous Native and non-Native organizations. In Washington, D.C., S-310 is a bipartisan bill with the support of national organizations including the American Bar Association, National Congress of American Indians, and Alaska Federation of Natives. I look forward to building upon the established record as we embark on the 9th hearing this committee has held on the issue of Native Hawaiian governance. Senator Inouye.
This bill is important to all the citizens of the state. For those of us who were born and raised in Hawaii, we have always understood that the indigenous people of Hawaii, Native Hawaiian people, have a status that is unique This status is enshrined in our state constitution. It is reflected in the laws of our state. It is found in over 100 federal laws, including the Hawaii Admissions Act, as noted by Senator Akaka. It is a status that reflects our deep gratitude to the Native people who first welcomed us on their shores and who gave us the opportunity to live in their traditional homelands.
I continue to support the efforts of my colleagues to reorganize a Native Hawaiian government. I think the process set forth in this bill is very reasonable and prudent. It allows for the Native Hawaiian people to once again have an opportunity at self-governance and self-determination. Native Hawaiians, just like Indian tribes, are the first Americans. They were here long before my ancestors showed up. They had their own governments, provided for the general welfare of their people. In fact, their governments worked so well that the founders of the United States modeled our Constitution after the governments of some of the first Americans.
Mr. Mark Bennett, how will the bill affect personal property, social services, and citizenship rights?
Well, Senator, what the bill first expressly provides is that unless and until there are negotiations between the three governments, the status quo is completely maintained.
Let me be more specific and ask, would this bill allow Native Hawaiians to bring action against private landowners?
Absolutely not.
There are some claims that extending federal recognition to Native Hawaiians will result in neighbors in Hawaii being subject to different civil and criminal laws. Would that be the case?
The bill contemplates that that could only come into place after negotiations between the Native Hawaiian governing entity, the United States, and the state of Hawaii.
Thank you. Mr. Meheula, we recognize that some in the Native community seek independence from the United States, while others prefer to seek federal recognition. From your point of view, do you think that Native Hawaiian supporters of this bill seek to secede from this union?
No, Senator Akaka. There is a small minority that, a loud small minority that sometimes voices independence, but they do not support the bill. The supporters of the bill want to work within Indian Commerce Clause power. And the way the bill is set up, it provides that before there is even an election of officers for the Native Hawaiian governing entity, that the Department of Interior has to certify the organic documents. And one of the criteria that they have to satisfy themselves of is that the organic documents are consistent with applicable federal law, which of course would not allow independence. And I think the other way to look at that issue is that the majority, in fact, about 75 out of 77 state senators and representatives in our state support the Akaka bill. And a poll was taken that showed that 84% of the Hawaii residents support federal recognition for Native Hawaiians. And that would not be the case if they thought that there was even a small possibility of independence.
Mr. Burgess, the language in the bill is the result of successful negotiations between representatives from the Department of Justice, the administration, the Office of Management and Budget, the Hawaii State Attorney General, and the Hawaii Congressional Delegation.
There's many people in Hawaii. I agree that with Bill Meheula that it's probably a minority. I hope so. But they have expressed a desire for independence. I've heard Haunani K. Trask, a tenured professor at the University of Hawaii, say that God, I would love to see secession. I hate the United States of America. And there is an active, vocal group of Native Hawaiians who want independence. And as I understand it, the proponents of the bill have gone out of their way to ensure those people that this Akaka bill is just a first step. And it does not rule out eventual secession from the United States. That's what concerns me.
May I ask you, General Bennett, the same question that I asked Mr. Burgess?
There is no possibility that this bill could lead to secession or anything like that. The Constitution of the United States does not provide for secession. There is no nullification process of provisions of the Constitution. The negotiators would not have the ability to negotiate anything like that, and the bill simply provides and makes clear in its provisions that since the recognition afforded the Native Hawaiian governing entity is of the precise type and nature afforded the American Indian tribes, that the type of limited dependent self-government is limited to that afforded those Native American tribes.
I would like to ask Mr. Connie, Micah Connie, a question. Are the Native Hawaiians assimilated?
I think the irony of that question is that in Hawaii, Americans have assimilated to Hawaiians. Hawaiians have not assimilated to Americans. And you'd seen in the cultural practices of our hula, where non-Hawaiians, thousands of them, participate in hula festivals, practicing our cultural hula. It's seen in the thousands of non-Hawaiians who practice in our language, in our charter schools and in our immersion schools. It's seen in the practices of our cultural practices on a family basis in celebrating a child's one-year luau, where non-Hawaiians practice that. And so it is quite ironic where the question is posed in a way where are Hawaiians assimilating to America, when in Hawaii, it's non-Hawaiians who have assimilated to our culture and the value set of welcoming people to our lands. And taking it one step further, that value set of welcoming others as a melting pot in Hawaii has brought us to defending our trust in Hawaii, in Hawaiian lands. And I find that quite ironic.
Aloha. I'm pleased to report that just 1 week after this hearing, my colleagues on the committee saw fit to approve my bill and send it to the Senate floor. I'm optimistic about federal recognition for Native Hawaiians, and I'm working with my colleagues in Congress to provide this sensible path to self-determination for Hawaii's indigenous people. Mahalo nui loa for joining me today